So hi everyone, we're gonna get started. Let me just make this bigger. There we go. So hi, my name's Tamar. I work in admissions. I'm also a current student in community health. And tonight we're going to be having a few very short presentations before we get to the reason we're all here to talk about student clubs, right? So just to reiterate what's going on tonight: student clubs, student governance. Then we're going to do email, student ID, and library. And tomorrow we have a welcome mixer, and it would be great if everyone could make it. Meet your classmates and everything. We've got some upcoming student events also. On September 13th, we're having an all-student mixer. The one tomorrow is just for incoming students. September 14th, we have an urban food policy forum, and we actually have someone from the Urban Food Policy Institute who's going to talk to us briefly about what they're doing. And September 27th, we have something called Grand Rounds. Grand Rounds is like every month, each department gets to nominate someone and get them to come talk. So, we've had a variety of different lecturers come. It's very interesting stuff. I would highly advise you to check out the Grand Rounds. They happen once a month, like I said. These are important dates. These are also going to be available on our website. If you go to the academic calendar, that's under academic resources. I believe that is under not the About tab, but the one right next to it. So, and you could, like I said, this is just get a brief look at dates. But the most important dates are tomorrow's first day of class, and yeah. Okay, this is student IDs are going to be available tomorrow from 6 to 8. They're also going to be available next week. And we have a health insurance rep who's going to be here tonight from 5 to 8. This is the last time this week that he's going to be here. So if anyone needs to talk to someone about health insurance. And our first speaker is going to be Craig Willingham. And he's here from the CUNY Urban Food Institute, CUNY Urban Food Policy Institute. So let me just figure out how to make this bigger. Alrighty, so Craig.
All right, thank you, Tamar. Good evening, everyone. I'm here this evening to talk to you about the CUNY Urban Food Policy Institute. The Institute is a research and action center based here at the Graduate School of Public Health and Health Policy, and is focused on a range of food policy and programmatic areas. And I'm hoping that by being introduced to the Institute, some of you will be interested in joining us in some of our research. So just as a bit of background, the Institute really is tasked with a range of different policy and programmatic efforts. And our scope is New York City, but we also work with colleagues all around the country and around the world. And we're really focused on changing food policy and approach to food policy from the standpoint of, equity, social justice, and general equality. A little bit of history for those of you who may be new here, or those of you who may have been exposed to some of our work in the past. The founders of our institute, Dr. Nick Freudenberg, who's here at the School of Public Health, as well as Nevin Cohn and Jan Poppendieck, all began with the New York City Food Policy Center at Hunter. Founded in 2010, the Food Policy Center at Hunter worked on a lot of the same issues that we currently work on with the Institute, but had a slightly different focus in that it was based at Hunter, and the difference in CUNY problems between an institute and a center really is that an institute works across all the universities, or all the colleges in the university, and a center really is focused at a particular campus. And in 2015, we got approval to start the Institute, and over the last year and a half or so, we've been putting it together and building out our work, building on the legacy of a lot of the work that was done at the center, but creating, a new voice for ourselves here at the School of Public Health and Health Policy. And if you see these two logos, you can very clearly tell the difference between the two. Sometimes our newsletters bump up against one another, and they also hold forums as well. But again, the very clear way to understand it is that institute versus the center. But even we use the terms interchangeably because so much of our staff came from the center. But if you're looking at events or research activities or any sort of related things connected to the institute, it's here at the Graduate School of Public Health. Anything that is connected with the center will be over at Hunter. So a little bit of background on our work. We have a number of different ongoing projects, and I'm going to talk a little bit about a few of them tonight. Very briefly, one of the projects we've been working on is looking at the barriers that immigrant families face when it comes to federal food assistance benefits, issues around access, issues around miscommunications on who's eligible for benefits and who's not, and also, what's most obvious is some of the impact that the new administration and some of the fears that immigrant populations have with respect to engaging with the government in any way since the election of President Trump. So we've been talking with different organizations around the city that are immigrant serving, but that are also working on food security issues to try to figure out, what does the landscape look like now? What are the sorts of things that both they and their clients are concerned about? And we're developing a report that should be out sometime in the late fall, early winter that really gets to the bottom of what this whole world looks like now with immigrants and food access. One of our other projects is our youth food countermarketing work. This is the only project that we actually have a programmatic piece. Our youth food countermarketing work is broken up into 3 different parts. We have a training where we train trainers from other organizations to do youth countermarketing work. We have our own youth food countermarketing project where we work directly with young people to teach them how to launch their own countermarketing campaign. And then we have the youth food countermarketing network where we work with organizations here in the city, nationally and internationally, to collaborate on different campaigns, use similar sorts of messaging, and to develop different strategies that coordinate our individual efforts so that we have a magnified impact in our work. And for those of you who don't know what countermarketing is or may have an inkling, I think the clearest way to give you a sense of what it is, if you're familiar with the Truth Campaign and a lot of the work that they've done around cigarettes, what we're doing is starting to create a model to do something similar but around unhealthy products. And these are some of the images that students that have participated in our program have developed. We've also put together a toolkit that's free, available for download on our website. So if you know any organizations that are interested in doing countermarketing work and want to get more information, they can download the toolkit from our website, which is communityfoodpolicyinstitute.org. One of the other things that we're doing is we're the lead evaluator for the NYCHA Farms project, which is an initiative that is done in collaboration with New York City Housing Authority, the Mayor's Office, and the Fund for Public Health in New York. And essentially what's happened over the last 5 or so years is that 5 different sites were chosen at public housing areas, and really they vary from half an acre to 1.5 acres, but all are operating local farms, and the produce is available for the folks who live in the area. And what we're doing is looking at what's the sort of impact on behavior, diet, et cetera, for the folks who live in public housing where these farms exist. And we're also looking at, what's the impact on the groups who are working at the different sites. And there's 2 different operators, Green City Force and the other name escapes me at the moment, but they're all recruiting young people between the ages of 18 and 25 to work on these farms. And we're really looking at all the different ways in which this farm is having an impact on those who are both receiving the produce and who are working at the farms. One of the other projects that we currently have underway is Communities for Healthy Food. We're, again, the lead evaluator on this project. This project is focused on community development corporations around the city who are launching different community food initiatives, from a farmer's market to food boxes to nutrition education, but all under the guise of communities for healthy food. And what we're doing is looking at, what are the sorts of ways these efforts both combined are having an impact on their respective neighborhoods, but also we want to know what are the sort of best practices for other organizations who want to do some sort of strong community food programming at their sites. One of the other projects we have, which I was actually in discussion with the mayor's office today, and there's a lot of movement going on here on this particular initiative, is the Good Food Purchasing Program. For those of you who don't know, the Good Food Purchasing Program started in LA, and it's essentially a rubric designed to look at several different dimensions of food procurement beyond just price. Typically for institutional food, when it comes to procurement, the institutions are typically looking at price, who has the lowest price for a crate of apples or whatever the case may be. And what the Good Food Purchasing guidelines look at is, things like, local economies, whether the food is raised regionally, nutrition standards, looking at environmental sustainability of the processing, et cetera. And what we're doing is looking to bring that work here to New York City. And currently we're in the process of doing a baseline evaluation of a number of city agencies to try to figure out what's the best way for something like this to be launched in the city. And lastly, our food policy monitor, which is really the term that we use for an umbrella of different initiatives and programs. Currently, we've just got done reviewing 16 food policy documents over the last 10 years that have been put out by elected officials and other sorts of government-related groups, and tracking what are the sort of recommendations that have been put out there over the last 10 years, and where does the city stand when it comes to these sort of recommendations, whether they've implemented them, whether they're in progress, or whether they've fallen by the wayside. And a lot of this work is being done to really set a baseline for understanding how progress happens on food policy in New York City, and to set a framework for monitoring food policy going forward. One of the other things that falls under our food policy monitor is our work bringing together different experts in different aspects of food policy for our forums. And some of you may have attended our forums in the past. We've discussed a range of topics from technology and food and how it affects workers, to upstate, downstate linkages and how to grow a regional food economy, to food security and college students in the city. Our next forum is coming up on the 14th of September, which was mentioned earlier, and it's focusing on the role that litigation plays in food policy. New York City has a very rich and interesting history of both using litigation, but also being brought to court based on some of the food policies that have happened over the last 15 or so years, first under Mayor Bloomberg and then ending under Mayor de Blasio. So hopefully, if you're interested, I'll see some of you there on the 14th. And that's it for me. If you have any further questions, feel free to drop me a line. There's my email address, and my office is on the 6th floor, room 615. And yeah, thank you for paying attention today.
Just like a quick comment, if you haven't signed in, please do. It's really important. Feel free to help yourself to water bottles and pens. Our next up, we're going to have someone come and talk to us about advising, and we have an online bookstore. Come on up.
Hey, how's everyone doing? I'm going to keep this short. It's just really just to provide these updates for you. A lot of the information I'm going to show you and talk to you guys about today, you're going to get via email, so you'll have all of this stuff. My name is Matt Pikowski. I work with the Academic Affairs Office, and I want to give you two updates. As you guys heard, one is on academic advising, some changes to the way that that's done at SPH, and the other is on the online bookstore. With academic advising, we're switching it up a little bit in the way that in the mode of who you'll have access to as students. We want it to be so that you can always get your questions answered as quickly as possible. So you're going to have access to both staff advisors and faculty advisors going forward. The primary difference between them is that the staff advisors are here to answer quick questions that have more to do with like administrative issues. So you might come up against issues going forward, things like degree requirements or registration, or things like policies at SPH, how to transfer credits. Any of those kind of like baseline questions, you can go to a staff advisor for, and they'll be able to get those questions answered pretty quickly. But within your first semester at SPH, you're assigned a faculty advisor. And again, the faculty advisors is someone from your department, obviously a faculty member, who you can go to for bigger questions, things like career goals and long-term academic goals. When you come up against questions like electives, like for my professional goals, what electives would be best suited for me? So one of the ways that we're trying to communicate this and share it with you guys is through an academic advising website that we set up. Email is going to go out tomorrow morning. Hopefully, you should get it to your SPH email, so you make sure you look out for that. And again, the academic advising website has just a lot of this information in one place for you. We'll be updating it throughout the year with news and updates. And you'll see along the top, it's arranged by what degree you're studying for. So if you're a master's student and you want a quick place to answer questions, you can go to our FAQs there. And if you scroll down, there's tons of questions and answers. You can also see if you have a quick question for a staff advisor, you can actually click on See an Advisor and schedule an appointment, or you can drop in during posted hours. And we also set up an advising email for some of those questions that you have regarding any administrative issues, or if you're wondering who is my faculty advisor, you can contact us and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible. We've also added this resources tab and policies and procedures. A lot of this, as you probably know, is already on the SPH website, but we're trying to compile it all in one place for when you have questions about advisement. Under resources 2, which is a good kind of segue into the bookstore, you'll see we've added that. Just by show of hands, have you guys gotten emails about the SPH bookstore? I see nodding, so that's a good sign. I generally don't like to promote things that I don't think are good, but I really believe that the SPH bookstore is pretty awesome. It's really easy to sign into and really easy to use. It's linked with CUNY, so all you have to do, the URL is sphbookstore.com. It's all over our website. If you just go on SPH, it'll pop right up. You can check your emails too. But again, it's super easy to use. You just log in and it's linked with CUNY first, so it'll ask you to sign in. I'm not going to sign into mine because then you'll get like a scary administrative version of this. But as a student, it's very easy. When you log in, all of your courses are automatically linked, and all of the textbooks for all of your classes come up right away. So you have to do almost no work. You can check out for all of your textbooks within seconds. What's nice about it too is that it does link to find the lowest price option. So if you don't know your CUNY First ID or there's some technical issue coming up on that regard, you can search courses manually and they should all be here. You would select the term, so fall. You would select what department it's in, so it's arranged that way. So if you're in community health, you would click on that. Just so you know, all courses are arranged by department, so whether it's master's or doctoral level, they'll all be under the department. So if we just click on one here, let's say this one, and you see the professors labeled here as well, and then go to search. The books will come up here, and it will say here, in this case, this book is required, and this one is optional. What's nice when you log in is that all of the books and all of the courses will come up in one place right away. You can then sort by what's cheapest, what gives you free shipping. Sometimes you want to watch out with cheapest. You have to look down and see what's happening because you'll see it moved to the marketplace. In this case, the conditions are good and very good, so you might think that's awesome and go with that. Sometimes it's like acceptable and God knows what you're getting. So you just want to be careful with that. If you want new books, obviously it's going to run more. You can also rent books this way, where you'd have to return it by the date they give you. And you can even sell your books on here as well. There's lots of pretty cool stuff with the bookstore. I left some flyers and things in the back. Some of these cool pens that they gave us also that have like a highlighter, so steal those. Yeah, and that's really all I got. Does anyone have any questions on either of these things? Advising, you might have more questions about because that's kind of a broad topic. What I would recommend is look for your email tomorrow, which will go out with the website and the contact information and all of that stuff. And I would look through that and read through the website because there's lots of pretty good resources on there for you. Any questions? Yes.
2 questions.
Sure.
One is for the bookstore. Are these sold like through from CUNY, or is it like they search the web for different?
That's a great question. So if you just buy them, they're sold through. It's not technically CUNY, it's like a company that CUNY partnered with, but when you go to the marketplace, you're no longer buying them through CUNY. So in some cases, it'll actually bring you to like Amazon Marketplace, but the company did a really good job of finding the lowest prices from what I've seen. Like I've checked around before we decided to go with this, and it seemed pretty much you can't find it a whole lot cheaper than what they give you. That's really kind of the mission of this. But that's a good question. It can be a little confusing who it's coming from, but when you actually go to check out and you add it to the cart, it becomes a lot more clear, exactly where it's shipping from and how that will work. Oh, wonderful.
And then the second question is for faculty advisors.
Yes.
Are students going to receive an email from the faculty advisor? Do they have to reach out if they have a question?
The way it's going to work with faculty advisors, are you a first-year student, or do you know who your advisor is yet?
Yeah, but it took a while. So some students last year got emails and some didn't. So
right, so that's one of the administrative flaws that I'm trying to work on and fix. So what we're doing going forward is in the middle of this semester, new students, I don't know if there are any new students here, will be told who their advisor is, and you'll be CC'd on the email. But I'm also, because I've heard this problem with current students, we're also going to email current students who their advisor is as well, as a reminder. But just that probably won't go out for a couple of weeks until kind of the semester gets going, because things are pretty hectic the first week and we don't want to overburden you guys with information. But what'll happen is you'll be CC'd with the faculty member, and then at that point it's kind of on you guys to foster that relationship, and the faculty, actually, I shouldn't say it's on you. But going forward from that point, it's kind of out of the advisement office's hands. But if you ever have questions like who your faculty advisor is, you can always email advising and we'll figure that out and set you back up with your advisors. Make sense? Any other questions?
Do you know the availability of textbooks at the library?
Might be a better question for the librarian, but I do know that they order the required textbooks here on the 7th floor. I think they only order 1 copy though.
There's a bookcase in the student lounge right now with all the textbooks on it. I believe that's where they're keeping it. So it's kind of like a reference thing. You can read it while you're there, but I don't think they're allowing people to take them on campus.
Okay.
Yeah. But I know I've been sending lists to our head librarian, so he.
The librarian's coming to talk tonight also, I just remembered, so that's a great question for them.
Cool.
Any others? I thought I saw in the back.
If the library is coming then.
Yes, I can hold off library.
But if you want to have the soft copy of any of the books, do we need to purchase it? Or is it okay if we don't purchase?
Whether it's okay or not to purchase?
Yeah, we just want to have PDF copy then.
So when there's ebooks, this is not a good example because the ebook doesn't show up here. There will be an option for an ebook through this website. If beyond that, I would probably check with your professor to see if it's okay, what other formats you might be able to get or available online. I think probably most professors would be fine, but I would double check to make sure that they're cool with the ones.
Just the right edition.
Yeah. Anything else? All right, guys, thank you very much. I will turn it back over.
So next up, we're going to be having William Robertson come talk. He is the president of the Graduate Student Government Association, right?
Yes.
All right. Yes. So,
Thank you. Yes. What? Yeah, this.
So, good evening, everyone. So I'm here to talk with you about the student governance and just give you a breakdown of all the parts of the Graduate Student Government Association. So I'm going to give you an overview of the current functioning and then the key functions as what it's meant to achieve. This is the current one. So there's myself, there are 3 or 4 senators, and then there are 2 delegates. The delegates have a responsibility of being part of CUNY Central as a bridge, and then I chair the whole establishment. So I'm good at it if you want anything, and you can reach out to senators whenever you want to. So our main responsibility is to assist with the graduate government programs and any school events and clubs that you all want, and to help you make that possible, to help you realize them, as well as to outline budgets, and that we send the approval to the Senate, because it depends on them to vote on it. Much in the same way the United States government works. And we also can create other committees that can enlist other students or anyone else in the process to help us along. So this is the Student Senate. They are legislators. They consist of at least 2 masters in public health and 1 doctorate. They can amend the Constitution, and they approve the budget. Delegates, they are the bridge to CUNY Central and to attend retreats, as well as interface with the overall CUNY umbrella. And then there are additional committees, and these can be created by the Executive Council, and they can be set up by the administration as well, much in the same way such as the committee that I was on originally, which was known as the Bridging Committee. This was the one that created the Student Government Constitution. You'll all get a copy of that once we get the website running. We can make it available to you. I promise you that. I promise you that. And then there's also the SIR, the Student Election Results Committee, which helps the rules and regulations for the conduct of elections. And then just by and large, everyone is governed by the Graduate Student Government Association Constitution. It can be amended as needed, and we'll have it available for download as soon as we can. So, any questions? All right. And I think some of my other members have a activity that we can all play. So, Lisa, Katrina.
All right, hi everyone, I'm Isa, and we're on the Senate. So as you know, this is a new school, so we're starting the student government from scratch. So we have a game to get to know each other a little bit better. So we're gonna play human bingo. So I'm gonna give each of you one of these bingo boards, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna find someone in the room that fits each square. So in the square might say, works for a nonprofit or likes to sing. And in the square, So you're gonna go around the room and you're gonna ask, do you like to sing?
Yeah.
All right, so if she likes to sing, I'll be like, all right, what's your name?
Kathleen.
Kathleen. So Kathleen, can you write your initials in that box? And so Kathleen would write her initials in the box that she answered. And then maybe she'll ask me a question. And it's a competition, so the first person to get 5 in a row, either across or diagonal, wins. All right? So I'm gonna pass these around. Feel free to leave your stuff at your chair, and we're just gonna like stand up and walk around the room and get to know each other.
Kind of break the mold of just talking.
Yeah.
Doing something a little different.
What's the price for the winner?
Bragging rights.
Street credit. All right, and if you don't have a pen, there's pens in the back of the room. You cannot use yourself, but you can use like anyone in the room. So it doesn't have to be students, it can be someone that works here too. And there's one free space. So stand up, guys. Stand up, walk around.
Oh my, I don't have one.
Back up.
What is your
I speak as like a lounge.
Okay, me too.
What's your name?
JJ.
Drink coffee.
Are you in the loading chat? Looking for the crackers. This one?
Are you on the channel?
Yeah.
Okay.
My
Tell me you do yoga. Vegetarian. Greens coffee. Morning mango tea. Yeah, right. Take it back some minutes. Only Chinese. Only Chinese. And everyone is doing That's my type as well.
No, I'm not good. I'm a new one, so it's been a tough few years, but we finally did it. It makes me happy. So.
All right, guys, you have 1 minute to fill in any final boxes. And then
Yeah, like my register. Yeah, I saw the black one. I know I'm happy. Yeah.
all right, guys, can you take a seat? We're gonna move on to the next part.
Okay. All right, so Jennifer, you were our first place winner. Yeah. Congratulations, you get one of these free water bottles. Do you still have your bingo card or do we? You have it?
Oh, mine, yeah.
All right, do you want to read the
Initial?
name? Oh, yeah, let me see those.
Yeah, so the burning office is the gentleman right there.
Do you want to say your name?
My name is Joe Brown.
Happy birthday month.
The ones who, the ones who works for a non-profit, this lady over here.
So I work for the Child Center of New York, but I specifically work in a high school for like young adults who are like getting their high school diploma in the evening time.
Your name?
E-drama.
Oh, we know that she likes to sing. Nutrition, Kathleen.
Sorry.
Nutrition concentration. It's really lady. Where's my? Over there. What's her name?
Oh, Lauren.
Yeah. She's from Maryland, I think. No, right?
Nice.
I'm the only child that's student. That's it.
Great.
Who's second?
I think it's me.
Oh, both of you. I think you talked to me and I usually gotta talk to another person. So you're fine.
It's me or not?
Yeah, good. And then both of them go to the other one. Yeah.
Okay, so someone who's born in another state is Daksh, our friend from India.
What's your name?
Daksh.
Okay.
Someone who has a birthday in August is our friend Joanna. Someone who speaks a second language is Gloria. She also speaks Spanish.
Okay.
Mike has played on a band a long time ago, but
What instrument?
No, I still play. Yeah, I play guitar. That's it.
Classical or electric?
Oh, not classical. Yeah, electric. Electric.
and Joe also told me he's on a epic concentration. That's it.
All right. Last one. Go ahead.
So speaks a second language, idioma. Then doctor student Katrina. Free space Carolina. Someone who's born in yoga, Katrina as well. And the one who does yoga, Harpreet.
What was yoga? My name is Harpreet. And what was the category?
Yoga.
Oh, okay, nice. Very cool.
There's some empty spaces that we can hear from.
Yeah, do you want to shout them out?
Yeah.
So if you would answer yes to this question, just raise your hand.
Yeah.
So I don't think you said who. Oh, you did their older sibling, right?
No, we didn't.
Oh, who is an older sibling here? Oh, there's a lot. Okay, first one. Rides city bike. Okay, so you have. I haven't yet.
There's no city bike up here, just like over on like 110, but like east there's one.
Drinks coffee. Actually, we have to ask who doesn't drink coffee.
Oh.
Yeah, that's probably better. But do you drink tea?
Yes.
Tea. Okay, so mostly coffee drinkers. You might need that this semester.
Did anyone travel to another country this summer?
I came from another country.
You came from another country? What country?
Brazil.
Oh, there's a we know the doctoral program. Who else raised their hand from who traveled to another country? What country? Vietnam. Vietnam. Went to Nicaragua. Runner. Who's a runner?
Sometimes on the days.
Oh, sometimes.
We're cleansing. Okay. Vegetarian. Okay. Vegan. Awesome. Environmental concentration. It's one that we did. Environmental concentration. Okay, thanks. Good. Chas concentration.
Do they know what chat?
Yeah.
Community health.
Health. That's what you
If you hear someone say CHAD, that's what it stands for. It's community health
and social science.
Ours.
Watches football.
Like
Football, soccer, or football?
Football americano.
Soccer. Okay, well, soccer, football. Okay, American football. No, we put it down. Did I leave that any?
HCAM concentration.
Who has a dog?
Anyone have a dog? All right, cool. Thanks for playing our game. We just have a couple more things. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
So we wanted to spend a couple minutes letting you guys ask any questions you want about being a student. And I think this is really important just to hear from students, which I'm sure you've talked to other students before, but also just give me a chance to ask about what it's like to be a student, courses, time management, anything on your mind. We will answer honestly and positively. No, I'm joking. We definitely want to be able to have a conversation about what it's like to be a student at the school. It's a relatively new school, and so why don't you open up to any questions you have?
Do any of you guys work full time and go take classes part time?
I work full time and went to school full time.
And
I am on the one extreme. So I am on the extreme of working full time and going to school full time as a doctoral student. So if anyone has questions about time management.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how's your schedule and how many classes would you recommend taking?
So for the first 2 years of my doctoral program, I was taking 4 classes. No, first year I was taking 4 classes a semester and working full time, almost full time. I would say about 30 hours, not counting any work I do on the weekends. I would not advise that. I did eventually go down to part-time, so part-time work and then full-time school. For me, I wanted to prioritize getting all my classes done and school, so I went down in my work. I know a lot of people work full-time and then their classes would maybe 2 or 3 courses a semester. I believe for the doctoral program, anyway, 3 courses a semester is technically full-time. So I was doing 4, which is super full-time. In general, it's definitely just being honest with yourself on how much time it takes to get things done. The worst thing you can do is underestimate anything. And it comes to projects, when it comes to work, when it comes to deadlines, always overestimate how much time it's going to take. And I'm sure most of you guys do already, but at the end of the semester, map out when all your papers and all your exams are. Know what weeks are going to be heavy school weeks for you, especially if you're working. So you can try to negotiate time if you're able to at your job. If you know that you're going to have a very heavy week with courses, see if there's a way to negotiate with your job where you can cut a couple hours but make them up somewhere else. So just definitely balancing and being just very self-aware of how much time it takes for you to do things, and also very aware of your semester schedule on what days or weekends, be home this weekend because you have 3 papers due on Monday. Like, marking those off on your calendar will really help.
So, thanks.
Good.
Sure. I would definitely add, it's important to take breaks. No, I mean, take small breaks. Basically, use adjustment if you're in a position that you feel I can't take anymore. You're just going to be hurting yourself. Just take a little bit of a breather, not too much of a breather, but just enough.
Yeah. I worked part-time and went to school full-time, so it's a little different. But one thing I would recommend is if you have our classes are during the week, but if you're working during the week, you don't really have much time to do assignments. And I saw some people would if an assignment was due on Tuesday, they'd be up Monday night finishing it. So what I tried to do is if the thing was due Tuesday, my deadline was Sunday night. It has to be done. So that you're not stressed out pulling all-nighters, because if you're working, you're just gonna kill yourself.
You also can't really pull all-nighters on a day that something's due, because usually on the day for the deadline, it is 11:59 p.m. and they mean that.
In submitting assignments, a lot of the assignments are submitted online, and they are timestamped, and there's a cutoff, and you will not be able to submit after that. So just taking it on as a responsibility to be honest with yourself on how long it takes, but also making sure you use your weekends really efficiently, especially if you're working during the day. The last thing you want to do is come home after work and then go to class and then do more work after class. So just manage the time that way.
Any other questions?
Okay.
What's your name again?
Sorry, it's Rachel. I was just curious because I haven't gotten the actual schedule of my classes yet. I've registered for my classes, but I don't see the time.
So it should, if you signed up for classes, it should have been through CUNY first. So if you go to my schedule, it should be under there.
Yeah, I mean it is, but it doesn't show me the time.
Are they online classes?
Yeah.
Okay, then,
That's what she was saying today, yes.
okay, so that's a little different.
It depends, so for the online classes, as far as I know, and obviously confirm this when you meet with your professors, but a lot of what some professors will do, if it's an online class, they're going to message the entire class, either to figure out certain times if they are going to be meeting in person, or if it's a truly online class, then they'll have just deadlines and other assignments that are on a weekly basis. But that's depending on which professor is doing the class.
And usually follows some form of a convenient workflow, whereby if there is a block of time that would say that you'd be expected to first see the readings or see the presentations, then you would have this amount of time to complete the weekend or that kind of a thing. So usually it follows a fluid pattern once they get everyone's consensus.
So I took an online class this summer, and how it worked was there was like an online module that you could do whenever you wanted, but you had to do it by a certain date because there was like little assignments that were due. So we had sort of had like weekly due dates, and then occasionally he would have like a live online session that wasn't mandatory, but he would be there and you could like chat with him and ask questions all at the same time.
Yeah, all these for the online courses, they'll be all posted in Blackboard.
Yeah,
not always.
Oh,
So
okay.
some I know at least one professor who does not use Blackboard. I don't know if it'll be this semester, but they might.
What's his name?
You'll find out if you have this professor. So not everyone uses Blackboard. I know of at least one who doesn't. And if that's the case, they'll give instructions on how to register for a website. It works similar to Blackboard, but I would say I think most of the professors do use Blackboard. And they'll use it in different ways depending on how the class is structured, or if they're doing online assignments, if they want assignments sent to their email. It really depends on the professor.
I have a question for you all. Has anyone here thought about or even know what fieldwork is? Hurry up. Jay, all right.
I mean, from what I understand, it's like a working internship part-time for, the school sets you up with a.
A little more, it's a little more than that.
Field internship, field work is like an internship.
Mm-hmm.
It's an internship anyway. You have to do this internship before graduating.
Yes.
That's it. In the field of your study.
Yes, it's meant to help you inform or make choices about what's known as your capstone. That's your graduate.
For master's students.
Yeah.
You guys intend to do it your first.
No, I
did mine this summer.
Yeah, I think you have to have taken 18 credits.
So that's
if
6
you're
courses.
Yeah, so if you're part-time, you might have to wait. Like, you can't necessarily do it after the first year. You'll have to wait maybe like a year and a half.
Yes. Another point is start early. If you can't, looking for someone.
Do you have to do it in the summer, or can you?
You can do it in the fall too.
You can do it any semester.
Any semester. Has anyone done it like the first year, maybe like while they're completing like 18, 20 credits?
Well, what I think you can do is like you would have to, if you were starting in the spring, you would enroll for it in the summer, as long as you're doing that, you're finishing or doing some of the hours in the summer.
Yes, you have
so you
to.
can start like a little early, but you can't officially take the course until the semester, because they want you to have some basic skills and fundamental classes before you get started. But there's a mandatory fieldwork session that everyone will have to go to if you want to enroll in the class, so they'll give you like all the details about fieldwork.
I talked to the advisor about these things, right?
And I think there's like 2 new staff members that help the fieldwork professor now, so they should be a good resource as well.
So you guys mentioned fieldwork. It's before the capstone, like it helps you start on the capstone. So when should a person start preparing for their capstone project?
Whenever you feel you're ready. no, literally, that's what I'm told.
I mean, you have usually the capstone is the last semester. Right?
Yes.
You register for the capstone class in your
Or
last
penultimate.
semester.
Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready, when you have enough understanding, when you know what you want to do, when you want to go for it, and talk with your advisor and talk with the other necessary authorities to help you.
they recommend doing it on your fieldwork experience. So one thing I didn't do that I would have liked to have gone back and done is to get a better idea of like what a capstone is, what you'll be doing before starting your fieldwork. So that way you can go in and like tell your supervisor, hey, I'm going to be doing this project for my, last year. Can we maybe do something that would fit in with what I want to write about or do for my project?
So the master's track here, every track has to do a capstone.
You can do a capstone or a master's thesis, which is a little different.
That's more like research, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit more independent, I believe. You have to have like a certain GPA.
Just to clarify, you're saying your field work should be directly connected to your capstone.
It should inform. That's why it should inform.
It doesn't have to be, but they said that's like easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes?
In terms of research papers, are there differences or similarities between grad research papers and undergrad?
That's a very good question. Yes, there are. Is anyone familiar with, is there a difference between graduate research papers versus undergraduate research papers? And I would say yes. It depends what your professors will require of you, but if you're familiar with the APA, American Psychological Association format, you're going to be expected to use that. You're going to be expected to do internal citations. MLA sometimes is accepted, but there are much higher levels of consequences for any plagiarism. So you want to avoid that. You want to really be concrete and be careful with what ideas that you choose to call your own. And when in doubt, always cite.
There's also a writing specialist, is that the word? That can help you. So if you're like writing a paper, you can set up an appointment with her, and she'll go over it with you and give you like tips and like help you revise it. You just have to start the work early so that you have time to meet with her. But it's a good resource.
Another good resource too is OWL, the Purdue OWL, and it's for an Indiana's resource.
You mentioned Zotero yet?
Yeah, no, and obviously, if you're in a graduate program, you're going to be writing papers, most likely going to be research type papers. If you haven't yet learned how to use a reference manager, use a reference manager. Online, there's Reference, Zotero, there's other ones. Mendeley also. Do not write your citations by hand. Do not collect them by hand. Definitely learn to register for a ref manager. Start collecting references that you see that are of interest to you. You can save them for a capstone later or for your dissertation later, but definitely use it. It'll make life much easier.
I recommend also that you use Google Scholar whenever you can, just because it's synced up with RefWorks. It's a very useful aspect. Yeah, basically you just go to the resource and then you can import into RefWorks.
Oh, yeah, most of the reference.
Yeah.
You'll be able to automatically link any article that you see online, whether it's PubMed, if it's Google Scholar. Most online reference will have an attachment you can add to your browser. So any article you see on your website, just click it and it'll automatically import the information into your database of references. Then you can easily create a references list for anything that you write.
So in this day and age, which is all about integration, because cloud, use what you can to make an integrated experience and to just make research papers doable. Don't try and go at it alone.
The librarian's awesome.
Yes. Reach out to the librarian if you have any questions.
Any other questions?
So how involved, well, I think you said you worked full-time before you went part-time. So did you find your work through, I guess, the class that we get through the school, or were you involved in that? And then for you guys also, like, if you work part-time, like, how did you get involved in that one? So for me, the full-time job I had coming into the school was a leftover from before I started school. I did find out about my current job through the school. So classic about professors that have grants or have projects you can work on. One thing I find out is if you're looking for projects or people to work with, there's so many professors in the school that have projects, that have data everywhere. And if that's what you're interested in, if you're interested in publications, if you're interested in being part of a project to collect data, analyze data, form projects, connect with professors. They're always looking for help. It may not be advertised as clearly as a blast, for example, but before looking outwards, which is obviously competitive, look inside the school because there are always professors looking for projects, and that way you can be a graduate RA, you can assist with other projects, potentially have a publication. The current project that I'm on right now was I found out through the school, and I'm a project manager on a grant for a professor who's no longer here at the school, but is at another school, and so that's how I ended up. And I'm working on 2 other projects with 2 other professors as a consultant doing qualitative analysis. So you can there's always ways to work with a professor to analyze data.
You guys are doing outside work, right? But yeah, the job I had last year, it was like I was doing it full time before, and then I cut down my hours to part time, and then this year I did field work over the summer, and I'll be continuing that into this coming year.
Well, so how do students, I guess, get to know one another? I guess besides classes and things like that, because I'm not sure what the atmosphere is here. I think everyone was pretty friendly today. You guys are like pretty helpful, but like, just for the shy people, because I saw there was no Facebook group.
We just started.
Okay, good.
Actually, this is as the Graduate Student Association is obviously new. This is the first school year that we have one, and it's definitely for us one of the probably the highest priority that we have is to try to really cultivate a culture and create opportunities for students to actually connect. It is a commuter school. A lot of the classes are in the evening. A lot of people work. It's particular to the population of students, to where we are. And so it's not always the easiest thing to connect, to find time. And so that's definitely something that we're going to be trying to do. We did start a Facebook page. We want to create a platform where people can also talk freely and be honest about experiences and find help. The doctoral program has one of those Facebook groups, a closed group. Definitely join if there's any other doctoral students. Just finding a space where you just be open about the experiences, and then also some other social events that we are looking to work on this upcoming year.
And one big thing that Will mentioned that we're really pushing is, since we're now a student association, we can have formal clubs. So if you want to start a club, or you have an idea and you think other people, would have similar ideas, like start them. Like we have funding now, we can help you through the process. It's new to us too, so have patience with us. But we really want to start getting clubs started here. So
yes.
And then we have some tips for you guys. So maybe that'll also answer some of your questions, because we did some things to get to know each other last year that I think might be helpful.
Yes.
All right, so should I go through the steps? Okay. All right, so one big one that I think all of the staff at the school agree is check your email. Okay, so your SPH email. You also maybe want to check your personal email, because sometimes it goes to both. But really check those emails, open them. The staff can see if you open them or not. So if you're saying, oh, I never knew about that, they can look and say, you never opened the email. Because they really send out all of the communication that way. If there's any lectures, grand rounds, writing workshops, all through the SPH email. So it's really important to get in the habit of checking those. I know it helped me, because I set it up to my phone so I get those.
So information from us also, the GSGA is going to be going to your SPH email.
Yes.
Yeah.
So check those. Yeah. All right. So also I recommend going through grand rounds, which is I don't know how to explain it, a lecture on an interesting topic, and a fun fact is there's always free food and coffee.
And it's good.
And it's one of the few times where it's actually a formalized school event where there's professors, there's students,
there's outside
professional people, yeah. So
great way to network.
Have a LinkedIn ready.
Yeah, but it is a really good way to network. There's always people from outside organizations, and I know some people have gotten hired from going and speaking up and meeting people. We said go to office hours. If you have any technical difficulties, ask the help desk. Oh, that's one raise your hand. The people behind all all right, so this one kind of answers your question is make time for happy hours. There's a bunch of like places and restaurants and bars in the area. So, you know, if you have classmates, organize something for after class. Sometimes we just rush out of here and we want to just go home, but it really makes it a more enriching experience when you know your classmates. So try to plan those amongst yourselves or for, you know, bigger groups. It can be really fun. And I'd say figure out your passwords as soon as possible. If you have any trouble logging on, try to get it sorted as soon as possible so that you're not roadblocked from like the things that you did at the beginning. It'll just make things smoother. Leave extra time for transportation because we live in New York City and you never know. I would always try to get here a little early.
You might even get a chance to socialize at that one too if you were like earlier.
Yeah,
that's
extra time
usually
with
what tends
study.
to happen.
Yeah. Always pack extra snacks because we're here late. So I know I would like have to in the morning. I have to pack like my lunch and then dinner, but you also like want some extra things. You'll end up getting.
We have Whole Foods now.
Yeah,
That's
game changer.
Definitely grab it before classes because classes go late.
There's a Rite Aid too, and then a CVS like pretty much within one block of this.
And I just saw a crepe place that opened like a block away. And then a big thing is make study groups. Like me and Will had a lot of classes together last year, and for example, for EPI, we were allowed to have cheat sheets for the test. And so what a lot of us did is we came together, we studied together, and then like we all created this awesome cheat sheet for the final and the midterm, and it was like amazing. I don't think I would have done as well if I hadn't, and I was able to use it in the future. So utilize your classmates, study together, share notes, help each other, and it's also a nice way to like meet people and make friends.
Team building skills are a really great thing to practice and to build on. I'm not playing this down. Like really, it really matters. Employers love that. They like people who can get along with different members that can also interact in a group or individual style, and then that can also be good at public speaking too. That's another thing to practice. It depends what area we're going to be in.
The last one was bring your chargers.
Yes. Does anyone have a Samsung or an iPhone?
The computer always dies in class at the end of the day. So
Yeah. There's only so many outlets. Maybe we should try out for some more surge chargers. Like, sure.
So it's really great meeting. We will see you in the fall. I'm gonna end with one last thing.
How's everyone doing tonight? All right, so we just wanted to convey these one set of final words. So it's that the GSJ is made up of facilitators here for you and whatever you bring. We will support you to the best of our abilities. Consider us a constant in the equation whose output expresses your community, which will only grow. You only need to provide the inputs. You have power, we have power, and our community has power together. Take a moment. Close your eyes, everyone. Really, close your eyes. Just bear with me. Calmly search your essence and note your desires. Ask yourself, what drives you? What motivates you? Do you want to motivate others? Do you want to have an impact? Reflect upon your thoughts seconds ago and hold on to those ideas. Those could be the start for adding to our student life. We encourage you to reach into whatever ties you have. No tie is too distant. Bring your communities into the equation. Bring yourself and bring your interests into the equation. Look to your neighbor. Look across the room. You never know where you'll find your next members or partners. We are public health, a nurturing force. So I ask you now, and not rhetorically, do you want to be a disjointed force? Do you want to be an integrated force? The choices are yours. Thank you all very much for coming tonight. I hope you've all had a great time.
That was really great, guys. Thanks so much. We were supposed to have a presentation on IDs, but unfortunately the person had to step with us about an emergency. I'm going to make this information available online. This is going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and I'm going to post this hopefully in like the description. But the most important things that she wanted everyone to know was that if you lose your ID, it's $10 fee. Don't lose your ID. You need to have your ID on you at all times in the building. Your ID will give you access to only certain parts of the building. Like, it's not going to get you access to where the faculty are. You're going to have to talk to public safety to get in there, or you're going to have a prearranged appointment and they'll come out and get you. And
Don't share your ID.
don't share your ID with anyone else. It's your ID. Don't give it to your cousin and tell them to come get you something from campus. It's your ID. Please only use it for yourself. And yeah, so there's gonna be available online information about crime reporting procedures, reporting and prevention of sexual misconduct, emergency notification and response, workplace violence, complaints, shuttle bus service, and yeah, I'll make that available online. So right now we are gonna have Emily, do you wanna go now? Oh, yes.
IDs are being given out from 4 to 8 p.m. all of this week. And then moving forward is, in the evening as well, 4 to 8 p.m. It's an ongoing thing. So if you didn't need it this week or you don't have plans to come in tomorrow, do not panic or stress. Public safety will be there for you to pick up your IDs as you go along in the school year. Hopefully, obviously, early.
Yeah, the IDs are going to be available still next week. So we're hoping to wrap up IDs by the end of next week.
Yes.
All right, so thank you so much for this.
Just report to the second floor and speak to the peace officer there.
Question. So how we're gonna get the IDs? We have to go to public safety?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then they will take a picture and then
Yes.
they will give them. That's from 4 to 8 p.m. You said.
Yeah, so it's tonight and tomorrow from 4 to 8, and it's also going to be next week during nights.
3 nights. At what time?
Is it 4 to 8 next week also?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So like I went to the check my ID, they asked like you need to have a certain barcode from the library resources.
You can hold that question for a librarian. Okay. Anything else? All right. Ellen, would you?
Email.
Can I get the internet on here?
Yeah.
Hit escape. There you go. Okay. It's fancy. Okay, so my name is Emily. I'm pretty new here too. I'm not a student, but I'm the assistant librarian. So I'm just going to go through our library services page real quick. And our library services page is basically the library. There is no physical library here at SPH, except for the course reserves, which I'll mention in a minute, but everything is done through our library services page. So if you just go to the website, you go into academics and library services. And this is what you'll see. So this is the main page. This is where you want to go before you start any research. If you have any questions regarding the resources that are available to you, or any questions regarding these services, you'll go here. There's most likely the answer will be there. There's a lot of information here. So the first thing is the Public Health Lib Guide. This was created by Wilfredo, this gentleman, who could not be here, but he's the Director of Library Services. He's not working on campus, but he's available to you guys whenever you need, as am I. Our information is on this page. So this is the library guide. We have information on, here's some useful information. You guys were talking about citations and formatting. Lots of information here for you, including EndNote downloads, RefWorks, all these guys. The Purdue OWL link is here too. AMA, APA manuals, so that's useful. We have the course reserve lists. These are all the required texts for your classes. We have these in the study lounge over on the other end of this floor. they're available for you to use on campus. There's no checking in or checking out. You just take them off the shelves, do what you need to do, and put them back. And this is just a list of everything that we have there. We have information on literature reviews, which I guess will come later for you guys. We have a list of databases that you can use. These are the core SPH databases that you'll use. So you can search those databases. You can also do, which rather than searching a specific database, you can just do a search and it will pull up all the databases that CUNY has access to. So again, here are these core databases. It's really important to know that if you ever want to search these databases, you have to access it through the links on this page because it will, there's no paywall or anything. It'll have the CUNY proxy, so you can get right into these databases with the CUNY subscription. So that's important to remember. Again, help desk for passwords. There's two different passwords that you might need. If you're using CUNY OneSearch, it'll ask you for your barcode, which is on the back of your ID, and a password, which is also your barcode, unless you've changed it. And I'll just show you what it looks like. So, let's sign in. Anyway, it'll basically just ask you for your barcode. And that's for using, yes. And it says right here, it's just your barcode information. And then also when you're using OneSearch to access articles, there's a double login, and that one will be your username and password, the same information you use to get onto the Wi-Fi or the desktops on campus. And like they said, like you were saying, it's important to have this information and know it so you don't get any roadblocks. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, this website's pretty self-explanatory. There's all this information here for your use. I personally, I'm going to be in the study lounge, also where the course reserve books are, from 4 to 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday. So I'll be there if anyone needs help with, how to search, citations, anything like that, really. I'll be there, and you can also email me or Wilfreda. Are there any questions? I know that was quick and dirty, and I do recommend just kind of going on and playing around. And
I know there was a question about barcodes in association with IDs.
Right, so I can assign you a barcode. Usually I get that from, I guess, admissions or...
Usually it's also that way, but sometimes...
I'm going to talk about that.
Oh, you are? Okay, great, perfect.
Yeah, so I can do that. Yeah, so the barcode is important, as I said, to get into the databases. Anything else? I know, like I said, I know that was quick. Yes, please.
I just have a tip. I'd say what I did that really helped, because I could never remember the numbers, is I put my student ID and then my barcode on like a sticky note on my computer, like a computer sticky note, not like a physical one that would fall off, or do it like on your phone and your notes, so that, because like it asks you like every time. Sometimes it saves on your computer and you never have to type it again, but I like to have it in a place where I know I can always like find it. Because it's hard to find in the emails. Like,
I think you can change your passwords too, but I guess I wouldn't recommend that because a lot of times students will come to us and say, can't remember their password, and it's a whole rigmarole to get it changed back. So. Is there anything else? So yeah, it's just it's not your typical library. Everything's right here for you. Oh, another thing, if you see CCNY is kind of like our parent library, partnership library, because our library is so small. So when you see this, don't be alarmed. You'll see the purple and the CCNY, but that's the West, and that's where you want to be. Yeah, just tons of helpful links here. Should have everything you need, and I'll be around to help you with it.
Do you want to tell them where your office is?
Oh, so I'm just in the study lounge on the 7th floor. But that maybe not this first week, but soon I'll have a post there, and you can come see me 4 to 9 p.m.
Thank you very much.
Some keys. Whose keys are these? They're mine now.
Oh.
I hope they weren't important, though. All right. So my name is Mohit Arora. I run the IT department at SPH, and I'm here to talk about a few accounts, your student accounts that you need to keep track of. My email address is on there, but it's hard to see deliberately. Help desk if you ever have questions about IT stuff. Not because I don't like receiving email, but because our help desk address is manned by 6 people, so it's the fastest way for you to get a response. So the 4 accounts that you have to keep track of at CUNY are your CUNY First account, your CUNY Portal account, your Office 365 account, and your domain account. The first one especially is very obvious. CUNY First is something that I expect all of you to have access to already for registration, to pay your bills, etc. That CUNY First account also gives you access to Blackboard and to something called CUNY Virtual Desktop, which is online versions of SAS and SPSS and Mathematica and a few other softwares that you might need during your coursework. By the way, this sheet is, there are printouts of this back there on that table in case you want a copy. Your CUNY Portal account is separate from CUNY First. It kind of looks similar when you go to log in, but you have to claim this account as well. And this is where you can purchase computers from. It's got some access to something called EMO, which gives you student discounts on software and computers and things like that. And it's also got something called CUNY Alert. This is an emergency alert system that CUNY uses. So in case there's something going on in the city that, for whatever reason, the buildings become inaccessible, or if there's any kind of an alert type of situation that everybody needs to be informed about, you can register CUNY Alert with your cell phone number and you get text alerts. So something that you guys should definitely sign up for. This is the same system that faculty and staff use. Everybody's on the same kind of alert system. Office 365 is what we use for student email accounts. Your email should look like first name dot last name, last 2 digits of your info ID at sphmail.cuny.edu. If you haven't already received an email from the help desk saying, this is your email address, this is how you log in, don't worry about it. We are sending out the last batch, the latest batch of emails tomorrow. And if you don't receive it by Monday, definitely get in touch with the help desk and somebody will be able to help you out. But is there anyone here who hasn't received an email from us? You have quite a few people. Okay. So hopefully you'll get it by tomorrow. You're on our list. If you don't, then by Monday, definitely let me know. Let the help desk know.
Can I call? Do you have a number? Because my classes are online, so I don't need to come all the way here.
Sure, yeah. We don't have a number yet. We're in the process of doing that. So here's the situation with the help desk. We're taking over Emily's office. we're throwing her out of her office, putting her in the student lounge, and taking over her office so that we can have a help desk for students to actually show up to. And clearly, this is something that's overdue. But along with that help desk, we also have a phone number that you can call. We're planning staffing so that there's somebody at that desk who can receive phone calls. But we don't have that yet. But certainly, email is still the best way. You don't have to come in here for us to give you all this information. Just shoot us an email from your personal accounts, even if you have to helpdesk at sph.cuny.edu. Always include your employee IDs so that we know who you are. Well, your email account, your Office 365 account also gives you access to Microsoft Office software. So if you want to download copies of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you can do that from there. Your email accounts are yours for life. And what that really means is they're yours as long as Microsoft is going to work with CUNY to give student accounts to students for free. So if Microsoft changes his mind, then don't blame me. But as far as we know right now, it's yours for life. And it also it gives you access to online tools like Office Online, Word Online, Excel Online. So if you need to work on anything in your documents through a web browser, you can do that on there as well. Your domain account is another account that you have to keep track of, but this is what gives you access to all the computers here. This is what gives you access to the Wi-Fi network. This is also something that you need to access certain library resources. So, like Emily mentioned, you need your barcode on certain screens. I guess one search needs your barcode, but the other login method is using your domain account, so your SPH account username and password. So the notification that we send out includes information on your email account, Office 365 account. It includes your library barcode, and it also includes your domain account information. By default, we don't force you to change passwords for your domain accounts very often. We recommend that you do so simply to keep your account secure, but once a semester, you will have to reset this password. It's CUNY policy. Any questions? Yes.
I'm not sure if you already covered this because I was in and out, but how long does it take from receiving this email to when we have access?
That's a great question. So typically it takes 0 minutes, but this morning we had an issue with our Microsoft account that led to a lot of people not being able to access their email. So for today, there might have been an issue, but that should be resolved. If you cannot get in when you try this evening, for example, definitely shoot us an email and we'll take a look.
So just reply to the email?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I went to get my ID and this downstairs they didn't receive the
They don't have your barcode?
Yeah, I received it on the email already.
Okay, yeah, I think there's a little bit of a disconnect between, there's a communication gap somewhere in our offices, and the barcodes that we have assigned to you haven't been communicated to public safety. We'll take care of that tonight. And so starting tomorrow, you should be able to get your IDs.
Help desk hours, what are those typically like? Like if we have an email emergency and like we're trying to send something and like everything just breaks down, is there like a 24-hour service or like what happens?
That is a great question that I wish hadn't come up, to be honest, because I don't have a very good answer for you. Our help desk hours right now are just business hours, and we typically respond to students within 2 business days. That means that if you have a problem Friday nights, it probably won't get answered before Monday. But we're working on changing this. So as soon as we have our staffing in place for evening help desk, this will also take care of some of these issues, and we will be able to respond quicker. So it's in the works. We know it's a need, and we know it's an expectation, and we know it's an obligation, so we're working on it. Any other questions? No. So that cheat sheet is behind you. This cheat sheet is really just for my sanity. We don't have a phone number yet. Don't call me. Send me your office. All right. Thank you.
All right, I think that's everything that we have for tonight. It looks like we're finishing a little early. Anyone have any questions that maybe I can answer? Or I'll be available. Yeah.
Or we can answer to Will.
Or Katrina and Isa and Will can answer more questions.
Sure. And what we all